Ah, Janemba! Trash!
Whoa, easy there, Goichi. It's not that bad. Hey folks, welcome back to another Dragon Ball FighterZ video. Ever since the character came out, everyone wants to know where Janemba belongs on the tier list. Thing is, you cannot call his tier when his character hasn't even been out for a day. In fact, I'm doing this a week after Janemba came out, and I still think it's too soon. But you want to know my opinion on the character, and after what happened last time, I don't know if I have what it takes to pick him up again.
No! You can't punch me through a beam! That's not how this game works! Oh, why am I on the ground already?
So, I'm gonna put Janemba on my tier list, but first, my tier list needs some changes. This is not where I think a lot of characters currently are. In fact, let's take all of these characters and change their place. It's okay to change your mind, it's a thing adults do when they learn new info. So let's start at the top tiers. Last time I made a video on Goku GT and why I thought he was an A tier, and all the points I made in that video, I stand by them. But the pros of this character far outweigh any of his cons. He's a guaranteed S tier, and I think that was proven at EVO, where pretty much every team had Goku GT. Also ranking up to S tier is Super Saiyan Goku. Thinking back to when I made this tier list, maybe I didn't give characters assists enough importance. And I do believe that Goku is an A tier on his own, but that beam assist is also going to put him in most competitive teams, so he very much deserves that top tier rank. And those are my 4 top tiers, which means Gohan and Piccolo are actually going to rank down. And the characters didn't get weaker or anything, I just think once again I didn't give their assists the proper weight they deserve. And I think with a better assist, these characters would be back on S tier no problem. But the way they are, they're going to need some specific teams to back them up, and while the top tiers are just so good that they work with pretty much anybody. So that's what's gonna rank them down to A tier. Joining those two in A tier are Cell and Vegeta, but these are coming up from the B tier. Looking back at my previous tier list video, they ended up here because they are very overplayed, which means most people know their matchup, which means they're not as scary, they're easier to counter. But you make one mistake against Cell and your character dies, and Vegeta together with his assist is still one of the best tankers in the game. These two are still incredibly viable, and I underestimated them last time for sure. Speaking of A tiers, we're demoting Android 16 and Gotenks to B. Their nerfs turned out to be a bigger deal than I initially thought. At first I didn't think it would be anything that major, but it's crazy how much it affected these characters. They're not trash yet, B is still pretty strong, but man, they fell hard with the 2019 patch. Videl is also catching a big D emotion. She seemed a lot scarier back when the tier list was made. The character was relatively new, but while she has all of those mix-ups, now that we know her better, we also know they don't work with every assist. She's gonna need specific teams to play well because the character herself has a lot of flaws to make up for. C tier is gonna see a promotion and a demotion. We're bringing Broly up. I think the more we play, the more viable and scary Broly seems. He's a very annoying character to fight against because of his armor and stage control. His stagger pressure is probably the scariest in the entire game because you never know when he's gonna armor through your pokes. And Ginyu is gonna be demoted. He's going down to D. It was mostly at C tier because Japan looked like it was gonna bring some scary Ginyus to major tournaments. And you see insane Ginyu tech on Twitter all the time, but all that stuff is so situational. He needs so much to go his way to pull off the stuff that he wants to do, and you just don't see it that often in real matches. D tier is looking pretty full, so let's go ahead and demote both Nappa and Vegeta Blue. Honestly, they were mostly there because people kept sending me tech after the 2019 patch, and here we are months later, these characters still suck. But base Goku doesn't suck as hard as we all thought. Wawa proved that by himself in a major tournament this year. I'm promoting him to D tier, and maybe he deserves to be even higher. I know he scares me a lot. And then we have Krillin. Hey, you hang in there, buddy. Ganbatte! Now that that's done, where does Janemba rank here? Janemba has some decent stage control. His Demon Slash covers a lot of the screen. He can parry projectiles and assists. And his striking Ki blasts, even though they're slow, they're not bad at all. So he's definitely got some good tools in neutral. His damage is also very good. He's got some awesome conversions thanks to his teleports. His mix-up is decent. The lack of a low light really hurt him here, but he makes up for it with left-right mix-ups as well as command grabs. And then he's got one of the best defensive options, which is the teleport. It's got invincibility on the 3rd frame, so you can't quite use it as a DP. On Wake Up, for instance, it's very dangerous to use that, but to get out of pressure, to escape stagger pressure or plus frame situations, it's better than any DP out there, because if you miss it, you don't have that crazy DP recovery, it cannot be baited since you can choose where to teleport, and because this isn't technically a DP, you can call an assist as you do it, just like Kazunoko did all the time before the patch. DP into assist. Kazunoko basically won won the World Tour with this tech, and, you know, a very powerful Gotenks. However, Janemba's assist is pretty bad. It might be the best assist for combos, but it really doesn't help you in neutral, and in block strings, it's dangerous. Its Ki Blasts, they can be reflected or super dashed through, and on top of that, Janemba is a big character, which means everyone in the cast can fuzzy him, and the teleport isn't gonna save you there. So with those pros and cons out of the way, where do we put him on a tier list? The consensus from the community seems to place him around A and B tiers, so we're gonna start there. However, that doesn't mean that we can't go higher or lower. It's just a starting point. Let's see what he looks like at the A tier level first. He's got decent damage, definitely enough to compete with some of these guys. His mix-up is decent with left-right stuff thanks to his teleport and command grab, but not as good as some of these characters who get 4-way mix-ups. However, his teleport might make up for the fact that his mix-up isn't as good as most of these A tier characters. His teleport is his trump card. It is, no joke, one of the best special moves in the entire game. But unfortunately for Janemba, it doesn't end there. You might have noticed the trend as we rearranged the tier list earlier, which is giving assists a lot more importance, because I do believe they are that important, and Janemba is gonna fall hard here. While his assist might be the best for combo extensions, even better than Vegeta's in some situations, it is useless everywhere else. Ki Blasts don't make for good block string pressure. It's not gonna help you in neutral, and I think at the end of the day, that's gonna make Janemba a worse character than everyone on the A tier. Speaking of assists, I don't really like the Piccolo or both Gohan's assists, but these characters make it up very easily with the damage they deal, with their mix-up game, and with their stage control. They're easy A tier characters, and Janemba just doesn't have their damage or mix-up. We could argue he has the stage control. His Demon Slash covers a lot of the screen, he can catch projectiles or assist with his parry, but he falls apart when it comes to the rest. So I don't think A tier is Janemba's place. We're gonna knock him down to B tier for now. And let's see if he fits with this B tier crowd. Let's start by comparing him to Goku Blue. Now, compared to this character, he loses on damage and mix-up by a mile. There's no comparison. But in neutral, we could say they're about the same. Each have their own tools for controlling the stage. It's hard to say which one is better. And then assist-wise, Goku Blue takes it in my opinion, just because it's better for mix-up, but it doesn't take it by that much. It's kind of similar. Even with Janemba's trump card, the teleport tech, which allows him to get out of pressure very easily, I'd still say Goku Blue is a better character overall, thanks to his damage and mix-up. So maybe Janemba's even lower than a B tier, but let's keep digging. What about Broly? Well, his stage control, I would say, is slightly below Broly's, simply because Janemba can't impose his style as much as Broly can. You have to counterplay your opponent, while Broly can kind of brute force his way in. But that type of brute force play is exactly where Janemba shines. You can't Ki Blast him without getting countered, at least if you have a good Janemba player. Broly does have the barrier, so he can counter zoning as well. So I think for controlling the stage, Broly definitely takes the cake. And of course, Janemba's assist is worse. But don't forget about his teleport tech, his trump card. That's extremely good for getting out of pressure. That has so many possible applications, it's a lot better than any armor Broly throws at you. And as far as damage and mix-up go, I think they are about the same. So I think Janemba is actually pretty close to Broly's level, but is still slightly below. I'm feeling good about this tier so far, but if Janemba is the worst character on the B tier, we will have to consider lowering him to the C tier. But let's be sure before we call it. Let's talk about Cooler. Cooler's got lows, which Janemba doesn't, but Janemba does make it up for that with left-right mix-up, as well as the command grab. Cooler has a DP, Janemba has something a lot better with his teleport. Damage-wise, Janemba takes it. I think he deals a lot more damage in many different situations. The one thing that Cooler has over Janemba is the overhead dive kick, which is plus on block. That's a massive tool for Cooler, but that's it. Janemba outdoes Cooler in every other way. So yeah, I think he's worse than Goku Blue, almost as good as Broly, but definitely better than Cooler, which makes B tier the fair place for Janemba in Dragon Ball FighterZ. We found it, boys. We found his place. That said, this is still early. A piece of tech from a pro could change this. Something gets discovered a week from now and all of a sudden he's a better character. On the other hand, someone might find a reliable counter to all his BS, so that could also lower him in the tier list. What the future holds, we don't know, but for now, that's where I think Janemba fits on the tier list. A final note, the tier list is not ordered, by the way. I'm not saying Kid Buu is the best character in the game, followed by Bardock, etc. So each tier isn't ordered like that, and if you disagree with any of my choices, feel free to justify why in the comments down below. However, whenever I make tier lists, some people forget that this is a video game, and I will not tolerate personal insults in this comment section. I want a nice, clean debate in the comments down below. Disagree with each other's opinion, but as soon as you call someone else an idiot, I am banning your ass. I don't need you in the comments. So with that said, I look forward to reading your opinions. And as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.